I'm here with Jacob Doss, the head football coach at Windermere Prep. We're talking about building programs. Tell me, what did it take to start and then build a program here at Windermere Prep?
Yeah, it's a great question. When I first started here 8 years ago, they wanted to bring, the athletic director at the time wanted to bring someone in, and they wanted to, as he said it, I'll never forget it, put butts in the stands. And he thought the best way to do that was by having that high-octane throw-in, have fun offense. That's what I had in high school. That's what I played in college. So that's what I knew, and he knew that. And he was my athletic director when I was in high school. So he wanted to do that basketball and grass mentality, which I love. And so he flew me down, and I saw a middle school game. We had 1 year of middle school before I got here. And that middle school team, I watched them play, and I remember thinking, they've got a huge fan base here. There is almost the entire school's out to watch them. They have a really good little quarterback, really good little running back, things to build from. I saw that, had a pretty good little career growing in banking. He flew me down here to watch that game, and I knew immediately this is what I wanted to do. And he said, we want to build a high school program. And I, as soon as I moved here, I went and met with several other high school football coaches in the area to figure out how they did it. And some of the common theme, the advice everybody was giving me was hire people smarter than you. And so that's one of the first things I did. First thing I did was to assemble a staff. You got 4 or 5 guys who are still with me to this day. And 8 years.
Where did you find these guys?
So a lot of ads went out on the FHSAA, and then once it got going that Windermere Prep was starting football, I had a lot of people contact me, and I did a series of interviews. And when you finding a good loyal staff, a good coach is, if you've been in coaching, if you've been in football, it's relatively easy. You have that connection with somebody in the first couple of minutes, and I knew right away. I had 4 guys from that first process, and we're still together, and so we've all built this together. I just happen to be the face of it, but those guys get as much credit as me. And we had a great time. We had to make sure that the administration was on board. We had to get the interest from the kids first. We had to make sure that the community was involved. We wanted to make sure the downtown Windermere. We wanted to make sure all the people, the businesses on this road were involved, and our administration. We wanted to adapt a culture here. Make sure that Windermere Prep, winning or losing, was going to do a first-class program. We were going to do things the right way. We were going to make sure that our kids graduated and they got to go to their first-choice colleges, and use football as a way to get them in there. And I think we've done that. I think we've been pretty successful at that. I do think there's obviously any good coach, I think, always has rooms to grow or thinks of things to grow. And there's several things we want to do. But one of my passions is facilities, and seeing facilities and the way this has grown around this area. We've gotten very lucky to where we are personally, and the growth around here. So that's really helped our school grow. And when our school grows like that, obviously our sports and athletic department's going to grow.
Everybody has different challenges when they start up a program. Small private school, numbers aren't going to be there. What's probably your biggest challenge?
Exactly what you said. The numbers is the hardest part. And you get a lot of kids that are the first time ever playing football. They want to come out and try it. They saw it in 4th grade, 3rd grade, their older brothers played or whatever. They've never put on pads before. And getting those kids to come out and play, and starting from scratch each spring and each fall, we have to start from scratch to make sure those kids are okay with that. So you have to have the patience from the staff, the patience from the kid, and the patience from the kid who's been playing for 5 years, who's going to sign that or is committed to that football that school to play. But our older kids do such a good job at that, I think, of teaching these young kids the game. And not only do we, first-time players, a lot of these first-time players have to come out and play both sides of the ball. So it's like a crash course. We want to make sure we put that stress in them in practice before they even step on the field, that they understand football. So we try to do, even with smaller numbers, we try to do as many real live game scenarios as possible to warp speed, get them ready for what a real game is going to be like. Preseason classics and those spring games are very good for us to see for that first-time player to come out and try it. And at a smaller school like this, you also have to share a lot of athletes. Basketball kids come out, track kids, baseball kids. So you really need to have a good relationship with the rest of your coaching staff. some coaches don't like their kids playing both ways. Take him out for a cup of coffee and figure out why, and teach him and really educate him on the process of why kids should be playing multiple sports and what that does for them. The last pure sport out there is football, because we're always going to have those Friday nights. There is no AAU. There is none of that stuff. So we want to make that kind of a highlight. We look at football as it's the first sport when you come back to school in the fall. It gives everybody an opportunity to go out and scream for their team. People want to come together. They want to come root for something. The teachers, administrators, fans, players, even if you don't play football, the cheerleaders, they want an opportunity to come out and cheer for something. And we want to be that. So we want to make sure that they have a great opportunity to go be successful on and off the field.
The value of a feeder system, a little more challenging when you're in a private school. You may not have the local youth group that's going to directly feed to your program. So you started a middle school program from the get-go.
Sure.
How valuable is your middle school program for your varsity program?
The middle school, I tell everyone, so as athletic director too, and I say if your sport wants to be successful, if your varsity sport wants to be successful, you have to have a feeder program in order to do it. Simple as that, bottom line. And you build programs from the bottom up, and I've seen some programs here that were really, really successful. They got a couple girls in to come play or guys in to come play, whatever, but then they graduate and there's nothing below them. And as soon as you can get that middle school, that feeder program in, where some people can look at it as a disadvantage because our kids don't go play at the West Orange Bobcats or the Windermere Little League. A lot of them kind of do that anyways. But I get the advantage of seeing these kids, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, play. The middle school football coach is one that I'm going to work with on a daily basis to make sure he has what he needs and give them I think our middle school football is the winningest program at Windermere Prep. They've been doing it for so long. We want to make sure they start when we start. They do spring ball as well. They do their practices and everything. So I think you get those kids involved at an early age. They start understanding football. They start understanding the grit it takes to be a successful football player, and it's going to help them in every sport. In fact, football at our school, low in numbers, a little over 30, 35, but every single one of them plays another sport. Every one of them. And there's not one exception to that rule. And that's something that I want those kids to do. And it starts in middle school. Play as many as you can. And get a chance to see those kids and be successful. Maybe he's a really good running back. He might not necessarily play running back for us, but he's played football for 3 or 4 years. He understands how to make a tackle. He understands how to catch a punt. He understands these things, and that goes light years when you're not having to teach that kid for the first time. His first game is his first game. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we really love our middle school, our feeder program.
I appreciate you giving us the time.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to talk to other coaches throughout the state, giving them an idea of, hey, this is what some guys have gone through. And maybe they'll reach out to you and say, hey, how did you get started?
That'd be great. I love talking about this stuff. I think any football guy, we're junkies about it. We love it. If you're any good at it, you absolutely, you can talk all day. And that's the beauty of football, I think, is so neat and unique about our sport, is that we're always wanting to help each other. Football guys, I could have no problem going right down the road and asking, hey, how do you run this jet sweep? What do you guys do? What are some of the buzzwords you use? And he'd share me till he's blue in the face, and I would do the same thing. So it is a brotherhood amongst coaches, and sure, we want to get after each other every Friday, but Saturday morning we're typically friends again. And I love the guys, especially if you've been doing it for a while. You kind of see what goes on, and football is, to me, it's the last pure sport.